Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. And if you're new here, welcome for the first time. And today we're going to rank my most despicable, hateful, awful characters in all of Stephen King's fiction. So stay tuned. Okay, before we begin, just a couple of things. Number one, there will be spoilers in this video, but not spoilers for plot, but spoilers for character. Because I cannot do this video without talking about the characters themselves and about their despicable actions. And that's obviously going to take place in different parts of the story. But believe me, I'm not going to spoil the story itself. I'm not going to talk about plot developments or plot changes. So you don't need to worry about that. And if there are books that you haven't read that you still want to read or you're busy reading, you're more than welcome just to skip through. But yeah, still love to have you watching this video. And second of all, I've purposely not chosen any big name villains here. So you're not going to find it. And you're also not going to find, strangely enough, Annie Wilkes, although she could well make an appearance here. But these are characters for me that made me so angry that I wanted to stick my hand through the page, grab them by the throat and throttle them. These are despicable characters that sicken me. And yeah, there are quite a few. And if I haven't named your favourite, yeah, let me know down in the comments below, because there are quite a few characters out there. And also I haven't read all the books yet. And I do know that in one book in particular, The Dome by Stephen King, there's a character that I've heard of a number of times, and yeah, I have not read The Dome, so that character's not in this video. Okay, let's start off with some special mentions. And now this is more for the movie than the book, because this character plays a very minor role in the book, but a very major role in the movie. And that is Boggs. What's his surname? Boggs Diamond. And he's the leader of this pack in the prison called the Sisters. And he is a hateful, despicable, sickening rapist. And he makes Andy's life a complete misery in the jail. In his time there, during his time there. I'm not going to say anything else about this character, but he sickens me. The second special mention is the Harrises from Holly. Now, if you don't want to know what they are, then just skip forward a little bit. Because they are racist, they're sexist, they're homophobic, elderly, respected cannibals that used to work at this university, or I think they still do. And yeah, they're revolting, and some of the scenes are incredibly disturbing for me. In the way that they, yeah, let's just say I'm just going to give that a special mention. The cannibals from Holly. Okay, let's move on to the list. Number 10, we've got Rose the Hat from Dr. Sleep, which is a supposed sequel to The Shining. Well, it is. And she's kind of a psychic, mind-reading psychic vampire who travels around and kills kids, but first tortures them and sucks out their essence, sucks out their, what they call it, steam, their psychic essence, in order to make them immortal. So they're kind of semi-immortal vampires. And she's just a horrible, really horrible, nasty creature. And yeah, there's one scene in particular, the way she and her group, they kind of travel around in camper vans. People see them just as these middle-aged people traveling around America in camper vans. And yeah, they kill this kid and they torture him first, and it is horrible. And what I want to do on every single one of these in my top 10, I'm just going to give you a quote for each one. stay away from the woman in a hat. She's got this top hat. And she's actually quite gorgeous. She is a queen bitch of Castle Hell. If you mess with her, she'll eat you alive. Yeah, so Rose the Hat from Dr. Sleep. And it's a very underrated novel as well. So check it out if you haven't. A lot of people think it's better than The Shining. I'm not so sure myself, but I love both of them for different reasons. In the 9th position we have Mrs. Carmody from The Mist. Now this character, if there's one thing that really bugs me in this life, is religious people that are overzealot, that are just completely fanatical and single-minded, and they cause so much more harm than good. And this woman, these people are sort of in a life or death situation, and she starts saying that this is God's will and that it's because you are all sinners and that it's kind of a cosmic divine intervention, and she spouts all this religious mumbo, and she gets people on her side eventually. And what results is kind of a blood sacrifice, and she's an absolute evil bitch. And I would have loved to put my hand through and punch her. I'm not going to tell you what happened in the story, but yeah, you've got to check out this character. She is horrible, both in the book and the movie. And in all of these cases, most of these have been, I think all of them have been made into a movie or a mini-series. So I've got the image up here and the image up here. But yeah, she's a wicked, horrible person. And her quote is, and this is a good one, because someone comes to her saying, I want to comfort you, I want to be your friend, you know. If she wanted a friend, she will have a little squat and shit it out. You know, what kind of religious person says that? Yeah, disgusting. Okay, the 8th person on my list is Margaret White from Carrie. Now, this is the second and final religious zealot, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, frickin' fanatic on this list, and she's seriously mentally unstable and insane. And you know, people talk about Carrie being the villain in this novel. She is not the villain, she's the victim. And yeah, there are a lot of seriously messed up characters in her school that bully her, and I hate bullying. I'm going to get to that later. But this mother just mentally, physically, emotionally abuses this girl. She is freaking horrible. I feel like slapping her, to be honest. And you know, like it's a case of everyone blames Carrie. No, I can't go into spoiler territory here. But she is the innocent victim in this, and the mother has a real problem. She even thinks that everything is sin. Everything is sin, including sex. Including sex within marriage. Ooh, we're in trouble, baby. Right? I mean, like really, everything that you do is a sin. And I want to read this quote, just to give you an idea, right? I liked it. This is obviously because she had Carrie. I liked it. Then he took me. I liked it. I should have given you to God when you were born. Whoa. But I was weak and backsliding. And now the devil has come home. We'll pray. And then she gets Carrie on her knees to pray with her. And often she'll put Carrie in the closet to pray or to think on her sins. She's a messed up psycho individual, and I hated her. Hateful character. Okay, next up we got Ace Merrill from The Body, which came in the movie Stand By Me, and I think he was also in Needful Things as well. And yeah, now there really is nothing I despise more than a bully, someone who picks on someone younger and weaker than them, smaller than them, so that they can feel more important about themselves. And yeah, I'm going to say, out of primary school I was bullied a bit, and it's just horrible. And kind of one thing about this particular book is that Ace Merrill, yeah, he threatens this group of kids, Stand By Me group, as they go looking for this body. And there's one scene right at the end, and I'm not going to say a quote from his point of view, but it's one of my favorite quotes. It's kind of rude, but that's okay. But it's one of my favorite quotes from the main protagonist of the story, one of these young boys. And he stands his ground against his bully, because that's kind of what you do. Because normally they're cowards. Give them a slap in the face, kick in the balls, and they'll run away crying. Well, maybe not always, but you kind of hope. But this is what he said to him, and he had a gun. And he says, "Suck my fat one, you cheap dime store hood." Yeah, to the bigger guy with a knife, but he had a gun. He was pointing the gun, and he had his 3 buddies behind him. But yeah, I hate bullies. And if you haven't seen Stand By Me, it is a magical film. And if you haven't read the short story, The Body, do yourselves a favor. So yeah. Okay, the next entry on my list is literally human garbage. And this is William Wild Bull Wharton from The Green Mile. Now I was seriously kind of thinking about putting him high up on my list, because he is a super sick individual. Yeah, he's a killer. He's behind bars at the Green Mile. He's been convicted of 3 murders, including murdering a pregnant mother. But he also murdered and raped 2 young children. And the main character, no, it's not going to spoilers, he's just a sick, messed up individual. And the reason I didn't put him higher, I think, is because he's almost, I don't know, he comes off not as cartoonish, but almost comes like a caricature. Baby, do you agree with me with that? Almost. And especially in the movie as well. It's like he comes off as like a larger than life. And just, he doesn't have that depth as a character. But his actions, yeah, he's a very sick individual. And this is what he says when he went to capture the 2 girls from their home, because the father trusted him, because he was kind of, this is right at the beginning, he was like the handyman or something, and so he had access in the day to the girls and chatted to them. He went into their room and he said to the one sister, "You love your sister, you make one noise, you know what happens? I'll kill her instead of you." And that's how he got them out the house. Now, yeah, sick puppy. That's all I can say. Okay, we next got in the 5th position Brady Hartsfield from Mr. Mercedes. Another very sick individual, and this is no spoiler. It's book's called Mr. Mercedes because right at the beginning of the story, this piece of shit basically drives his Mercedes into a group of people lining up for a job in the recession, and they don't have work. That includes a mother and a young infant, and these people lining up, and then he reverses, and he basically takes delight in pleasure from hurting others and killing others. He feels nothing. And yeah, in addition to that, I have to say, he's got a kind of unfortunately kind of icky relationship with his mother. Not giving spoilers away. Yeah, so there's a lot to be said about this character. I've spoken about him on my channel quite recently because it was a recent read, I think at the end of last year, somewhere around there. But yeah, he's basically a sick guy. And this is his thoughts on murder. This is what he says, how he justifies it. You know what they say, you paint your masterpiece, you'll live forever. Yeah, he a complete psychopath, and I hate him. Great villain though. I can promise you that the next 4 characters are very, very special individuals, and that I had a hard time choosing between them. But in 4th position, I've got Norman Daniels from Rose Madder. Now this charming man is psychotic, obviously. He's an abusive husband who beats his wife constantly. And yeah, in the opening chapter, it's one of the most shocking opening chapters in any of Stephen King's books. In fact, it is my most shocking chapter. He basically beats his wife to a pulp. I think because she's reading a book, right? Reading a book that he doesn't like. And she's pregnant. And he kicks her in the stomach, he beats the crap out of her. And guess what? She's not pregnant anymore. That was a shocking opening to a novel. And this is all in the first 2-3 pages. So it's the domestic abuse, but he is just such a psycho. And the problem is, after that, he calmly called, he's a police officer. He's quite high up, so he can cover things up. And he just made everything right. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about the novel. She gets away. Very courageous. But this character is a piece of work. That's all I can say about him. But his thoughts, come here. I want to talk to you. And I want to do it right up close. Come here. Every time he beats his wife, that's what he says to her. Piece of work. Arsehole. Shit. Okay, next up we got the Warden and Captain Brian Hadley from Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption, which became the awesome movie The Shawshank Redemption. And now I have no qualms in saying it, I actually love the movie more than a book. But these characters were despicable and hateful, and you wanted to punch them in both the book and the movie. And I could pick on the Warden because he's corrupt and money laundering, he's got all sorts of things, he controls that situation so nicely. But I have to go with that captain because he's just so much in your face. He's sadistic, he abuses his authority, he is just the most awful person alive. And in the opening night in the movie, I can't remember the story, I need to read it again, I'm judging by the movie here, people. I think in the opening kind of 10-20 minutes you get some new inmates arriving at Shawshank Penitentiary, Shawshank Prison, and one of them is this overweight guy who's lost, sad, and when the lights are out and he's in his cell, he's got time to reflect, he starts crying for his mommy. And basically this captain beats the crap out of him and kills him. Not without saying first, I ain't going to count to 3. I'm not even going to count to 1. You will shut the up, or I'll sing you a lullaby. Yeah, nice guy. And he's like that the whole way through the book and the movie. He's sadistic, likes causing pain on others. He's just a horrible, corrupt bastard, basically. So yeah, that's number 3. Okay, in second position, I couldn't not mention Patrick Hockstetter, I think that's right, Henry Bowers from It. Now, once again, I had a bit of a dilemma. Now, Henry Bowers is the vicious, sadistic, completely psychotic, psychotic or sociopathic. Anyway, he's a nutcase, and he is leader of this gang that absolutely terrorize the friendly guys called Our Friendly Losers Club, who are the heroes of the story. And he terrorizes them. But there's one person within that gang, that is Patrick, who is just evil. He's has this condition where he believes he's the only person alive and everything else is imaginary, and that he cannot feel pain and cannot inflict pain. This is weird, it's almost a sociopathic thing. And some of his hobbies are, just to let you know how much I hate this person. Well, first of all, he cuts up insects and shows them to his classmates, and he has a fridge. out somewhere, I don't know, out in the bush somewhere where no one can find it. And in that fridge he puts cats, small dogs. He closes the door, lets him suffocate, agonizing pain for 3 days or whatever, and the smell starts getting, you know. He is an absolute nut job. I hate him. I have a real problem with harm to animals. And in fact, Layla started limping about 2 hours ago, and I'm a little bit worried. We might have to take her to the vet tomorrow. So just the idea of harm to animals for me, and what this guy does in this book, that itself puts him above Henry Bowers for me. In addition to that, there's one scene where he's threatening Ben, one of the characters, and he wants to set fire to his hair. Let me light his hair like Michael Jackson. Yeah, he's just a despicable, despised character. I hate him. Hateful character. And the winner goes to the most despicable character, the character I would like to thrust my hands into the page, or the TV screen in some cases, wrap it around his throat and throttle him alive, is Percy Wetmore from the Green Mile. This guy is a sadistic sadist. He's also an absolute coward, and he does things in this story that just rile me up and really put my back out. They really make me uncomfortable. Yeah, he works the Green Mile. I'm not giving really spoilers away here. It's basically a death sentence. This is where you go to meet your death sentence, or electrocution. These are the prisons. And he's one of the guards there. And he's one of the guards there because his daddy has a job, and he has they're not going to get rid of him easily. Because he's horrible not just only to the prisoners, he's not particularly nice to the guards either. They want to get rid of him. But he's a frickin' sadist. And he's nasty, and he's physically abusive to the guards. For example, looking at him wrong, I think he broke the fingers off one of the prisoners. And if you know the book, you'll know how horrible this is. He tries to kill this mouse. That happens to be a pet mouse of one of the prisoners. It's a very special mouse. And he's insanely... I just want to say this guy is awful, or awful human being. And his worst crime, and the thing that really stands out, is that he insists on having a little bit more of a say during the electrocutions. Oh, because by the way, he likes to watch them as well. He loves to watch those electrocutions. He takes pleasure in the pain of others. He's a sadist. And he kind of takes over one of these, and I don't know if it's giving away a spoiler. If you think it is, you can turn off now, it's fine. But I'm going to say it anyway. His duty is to make sure that this cloth that's put on the man's head is wet. The sponge. On the head, before everything goes over, before the electricity passes through the body. What does he do? He doesn't wet the sponge. No, because he doesn't like this guy. And as a result of that act, it is one of the most disturbing, kind of visceral, just nasty, horrible things in Stephen King fiction. And really, I think it's probably in my top 10. Just so horrible. This guy is just a nutcase. And yeah, I felt like slapping him all the time. I feel like throttling him. And for me, he's the worst villain. Not the worst villain, the most hateful, despicable villain in Stephen King fiction. The hateful, despicable character in Stephen King fiction. Let's go there. Okay? Some of his quotes. Talking about the Green Mile, where people are held before they go to their death. I think it is a bucket of piss to drown rats in. That's all. Anybody doesn't like it, you can kiss my ass. And then, when people are entering the Green Mile for the first time, All the other guards are kind of quiet. He says, dead man walking. We got a dead man walking here. What an arsehole. Okay everyone, yeah, that's my choices. What do you think of them? Leave something down for us in the dark spaces down below. And yeah, once again, I'm sorry if I looked a bit off today. Before we could get to the vet, Layla started limping. I hope she's getting better, as that would be a real problem. Yeah, I'm hoping it's just something minor. But she was really struggling to get around. I don't know if she pulled something, or maybe she stepped on something and got rid of it now. I really hope so. But yeah, please think of us. It's not a lack of thing at all. We'll probably go to the vet first thing tomorrow to check. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for watching everyone. Leave me a comment down below if you agree with my choices. If you think there's others I've left out, please let me know. I love that kind of conversation. And remember, it's just my opinion. But yeah, until next time, take care of yourselves, keep those pages turning, and cheers.